Hi everyone, Matt from Snare here. Welcome to this technical video on how to configure data masking when monitoring SQL databases. We have a specific term for it, CID scrubbing, where CID stands for Client Identifying Data, and scrubbing is all about removing personally identifiable data from Snare logs to avoid exposing potentially sensitive information to people who should not have access to such data. Before we jump to the product and see how to configure CID scrubbing and how it works, let's just set the scene and talk why it's important. Let's talk about a typical application, which could be a CRM, ERP, business intelligence, or any other multi-user app storing lots of data. All that data will have to be stored in a database, and Microsoft SQL is still one of the most popular solutions used these days. The application is also linked to our user directory, so we can authenticate against our directory rather than having local accounts, and this could be done via Microsoft Active Directory, LDAP, or a Cloud Directory service, for example. Obviously, real-life applications can get quite complex with multiple application servers, web servers, maybe even multiple databases across failover clusters, but let's keep it simple for now. Whenever a user wants to use our application, they have to provide their credentials, which will be validated against our directory. If everything is okay, they will be granted access to the application, and if there is a problem, they will not be able to interact with it. A well-written application will not allow direct access to the data to standard users. Users will have access to only specific sections of the data according to their permissions configured in the application. Additionally, our application should also generate access logs for tracking and troubleshooting purposes. Only database admins will have additional privileges to access the database directly for administrative purposes, which may include database maintenance, backups, migrations, and so on. But this poses a risk which we have to control and mitigate. Disgruntled employees, credentials theft, corporate espionage, malware, or compliance requirements are all valid reasons why we should monitor administrative activity on our databases. But that's fine. Snare Agent for Microsoft SQL can do the job and collect all administrative access logs so they can be forwarded to a SIEM solution, for example, to be monitored by our cybersecurity analysts. So far, so good. You want your security analysts to monitor your databases and receive reports on suspicious activity, but why would you want them to be able to tie the logs to actual co-workers, maybe their friends or superiors? This is particularly important when DB admins may also be responsible for monitoring, which may happen in small organizations. And this is why you may want to scrub sensitive data so your analysts can't tell whose logs they're investigating. Once suspicious activity is identified, designated senior analysts could use the anonymized logs to launch a detailed investigation, but your regular analysts would not be able to link activities to actual people. The good news is, this is exactly what you can achieve with the CID scrubbing functionality of Snare Agent for Microsoft SQL. Now we know why we want to enable CID scrubbing. Let's have a look how easy it is to enable it and how it works. For this presentation, I'm using our Snare Agent for Microsoft SQL with just a single objective. As you can see, we're monitoring the default instance running on this machine. We want to collect all log-on log-off activity, but also pick up account administration events, database object access, or even running select queries. There are options to exclude certain users or groups, and normally we would recommend monitoring administrative accounts only, as regular accounts should be controlled by the application. And here is the CID scrubbing option, which we can enable. But before we do this, let's try and access our database directly. I have an RDP session to this machine running our database, and I can launch SQL Server Management Studio to try and access our database directly. I will try to use my own account. This has failed, so it seems I don't have required access. Let's now go back and review latest events in the agent to confirm that we can see this activity. And there you go, event ID 20, login attempt failed for user Matt K. Let's now go back to the objective and enable CID scrubbing. Once modified, we need to apply, and this will restart the service. Now we can go back to our RDP session and try to log into the database again. Obviously, once again, it will fail, but if we review our latest events now, we can see that the username has been hidden. So now we don't know who we're investigating, which will help with impartiality and also will make sure that we're not leaking PII, for instance, to our MSSP. As you can see, this is a very easy and straightforward configuration. CID scrubbing is a very useful feature which can help you with your requirements. Thank you and see you in the next video. Watch our entire problem solve series to learn more ways to easily glean additional value from your snare solution.